Hey, Derek Sheridan from Rust Belt Basketball Coaches Network for In Ted's Honor, Volume 50. Our drill of the week is a drill we stole from Coach Basil Mawbey from my days of coaching basketball in the great state of Indiana. Coach Mawbey coached at Kokomo High School when I was a young lad and then moved to Lewis Cass. I believe he's at Anderson now. But Coach has coached at damn near every school in the state of Indiana and has had just a multitude of success, has won multiple state championships, and is ridiculously famous for his 2-3 zone and his different styles of offense, which predominantly were more deliberate. But anyway, just an unreal 2-3 zone was known nationwide. I think Coach Mawbey's 2-3 zone would be comparable, if not more popular, than Coach Bill Green's matchup zone. Then, of course, at Jay County now, you've got Coach Jerry Baumholt, who is still coaching, and his 3-2 zone is of everybody in the game of basketball knows that zone. So, anyway, one of the things Coach Mawbey was so famous for was how expedient his players closed out. And this is a drill we stole from him at one of his coaches' clinics. He ran a coaches' clinic at every school he was a head coach at, and even later in life, when he was an assistant, they still ran the Coach Mawbey Saturday afternoon coaches' clinic. But anyway, we called this Kokomo closeouts, and it's important to know that we utilize this drill using the side basket so we can have more kids involved instead of a lot of standing at just using the main basket. So you've got the players who will rotate in. We had further off of the sideline, but with this program, if I move them any further to the left, they'll disappear. You've got we numbered our players in 4, 3, 1, and 2 in the order the defensive player here will close out. The defensive player starts off with the ball, and he fires a two-hand over-the-head pass to 1. And he makes a closeout, and of course the closeout will be contingent to how you teach your kids to close out. Once the closeout occurs, 1 fires the ball to 2, and the defensive player closes out in such a way that is consistent with how you teach closeouts. If you teach top hip and you're going to funnel the ball this way, then thank you. Then the closeout would be on top hip. If you're closing out square, then he's going to round that off like a letter U or a letter L, if you will, so he can get his right foot out of bounds so he can keep the ball from being penetrated towards the basket. Or if you force the ball to the middle, then he would close out. So his left foot is pointing towards the elbow, and we're going to force the ball this way. So once the closeout occurs, the ball is fired to number 3, where we close out again, utilizing whatever your closeout technique is. And then the ball is fired to the corner, where we have another corner closeout. And here, Ford does one of two things. Early in the season, we would just have 4 dribble the ball up to 3 spot and force the defensive player, to slide, step, and keep the ball and keep in front of the ball. Throw his lead foot, if you will, was the terminology we used. And then later in the year, we would actually have 4 play. We would just yell the word go. And on that closeout, 4 and the defensive player are going to get after it. We would put a number of dribble limitation on number 4. But anyway, this time of the year, as the ball's being dribbled by 4, everybody rotates over, and the next player in relocates to the corner man's position. There's probably 100 different ways you could rotate. That's just simply the way we did it. A couple variations. We would have this closeout occur and then have a player here. And after the closeout, we would fire the ball here, and we'd have a coach here, And now as that ball's being fired to 4, he is on the run. I mean, a dead sprint. 4 has to throw the ball to coach, got to the basket, and 4's goal is to get here and contest the shot without fouling on a full court closeout or whatever your rule was. We didn't allow our kids to try to block shots, but we wanted to get there and get his body in between the ball and the man. Is it hard? Extremely difficult to do that, but it did add a full court component to this drill, and it did allow us, if we would have a couple kids who maybe moved in or whatever who we didn't know, to see what their capacity for hard work was. One of the other things we looked at after we told if we didn't know the kid, so to say, after we'd explained to them, we don't try to block shots. If you would run and swat at the ball, then we knew immediately he was probably going to be a coach killer. He wasn't very good at following instructions. So anyway, I guess one other deviation I'll show you is, I guess I'll show you a couple more. As you can see, I really like this drill. So we would put a coach here in the middle, just here. And after the ball was passed by the defensive player and the closeout occurred, any of these players on the coach's command could throw the ball to coach. And if the player who closed out tipped the ball, he got to leave. And then this player had a running or some kind of discipline for making a ineffective pass. And then another way we ran this drill, which I got from my college coach, Coach Steve Platt, we call this the gladiator drill, is during this closeout, during these closeouts, whenever coach would yell the word go, it was on. And you had to stop every player before you could get out of this drill. So it started off as Kokomo closeouts, but when Coach Platt or Coach Glancy yelled the word go, then it was on. And after you got to stop, and the players did have a dribble limit contingency, but you had to get a stop. You had to get a stop from each of the 4 players before you could get the heck out of this drill. And I think more than anything, even more so than defensive technique, Coach was just evaluating our work capacities and amount of testosterone, if you will, in that drill. It was most difficult. But anyway, I hope that helps you out. If you haven't seen that drill before, I hope it gives you a different closing out drill or what we would call a testosterone check. But hey, you guys who are just getting started with your season, God bless you. Enjoy every second of it. I know that's hard to say this time of the year. You got to make cuts and whatnot. But those of us who aren't able to do it anymore, trust me, this is a time of the year that a lot of us miss the most, including myself. Thank you, and help us push this in Ted's honor out. Everything we do here is to honor Ted and to make the game of basketball better. And that was Ted's ultimate goal. And I know I spent a lot of time today thinking about Ted. This is a time of the year we talked a lot. And, we want to get Ted's love for the game and our little group who started this stuff, where we all kind of agree this ain't a hobby. This is something we believe is so good for young people, the game of basketball, getting them involved in these things and plowing forward. It's a long season. There's so many great things about this game that are good for everybody who's involved. So don't be afraid to mention to your friends or your coaches or anybody you know who wants to be a better basketball coach. And with that being said, send us your stuff. Send us your stuff. We want your stuff. We want to take what you know and make it available to everybody who receives our newsletter. God bless, folks.